4:39. I'll go ahead and call this to order so we can try to play catch up a little bit. Thanks all for being on time and ready. This will be our first meeting where we have the owl, which is honestly creepy. But thank you, Ellen, for setting that up for us and hopefully managing it because we don't account. We are also short, we're not short, but absent Dale. I guess today's his birthday, so he is hopefully not working and doing something more.
Oh, he's right over here, so let's all wish him a happy birthday.
I'm with you all very briefly, and then I'm going to dinner.
But like I said, Ellen is here with us and will be able to work with us and answer some questions and follow-ups that we've had from our last meeting. We don't have some of our other staples, so our placards and agenda, but I do have the agenda with me. If I could figure it out without being too cumbersome, I could project it, but I'll also just walk us through it. So if you have it digitally, it'll be the updated version that I sent out this afternoon. So it's got a couple different items on there. I want to start with introducing Colleen, who has been so gracious to help us set up the room and have a space to meet here, and just to let her tell us about the facility if you've never been here before, like I have not, and to start the meeting. So I'll let her start there.
The best place that you want speakers to be.
No, it will follow you wherever you go. So if you want to be closer to the owl.
Close to the owl. You're right, it's just creepy.
It's only, yeah.
Hi, welcome. I'm Colleen Toomey. I'm the new director here at Farwell Community Center, and I already had the CAC hosted their meeting here last month. So that was great to start to get to know the community there. We have a regular seasoned active adults group that comes every Tuesday. They play bridge, they take field trips, they have socials, they do crafts. And so getting to meet the community there on a regular basis has been terrific. Wonderful programming here. We have dance for both little ones all the way up to adults with line dance and Zumba. We have a terrific wheelchair basketball league, wheelchair rugby team that comes here. They have games and tournaments. And then we also have our open play basketball, which attracts all of the youth all the way through adults, and a senior group that is very strong and comes on a regular basis as well. So we have a before-school, after-school program in conjunction with Farwell Elementary. That works terrific, and we're forming a nice partnership with them, with the new principal there. So do you have any questions? It's great. This is our multi-purpose room. It gets divided, but that wall actually retracts, so we can also use it as a bigger room. So lots of people come and use it for parties and receptions and different showers, birthday parties, all kinds of rentals.
I want to mention when you're done. I want to mention something when you're done.
Okay. And dance room downstairs, fitness room downstairs. We recently hosted the affordable housing complex down Rock Quarry Road that's going up at Sunnybrook, the corner of Sunnybrook and Rock Quarry. And it worked out really well because they're not going to have a fitness center as part of their complex. So they were letting all the people know who were putting their applications in for the building there that this would be a place that they could come and have a reasonable fitness center. Price wise. Yeah. So that was terrific as well.
Mentioned the community developed a master plan for the farm. It's about 54 acres here with the school and with this community center. And the master plan has one thing, if you drove up on the left, you saw a playground. That's within the master plan, but it was a special project with the parents that put that together. So it has a special section in that playground. Also, before the playground, you saw a gated area. That's a community garden.
Oh, cool.
So the CAC and the residents and staff and all of us working together to develop this is the first kind of with the city and having these community gardens in the park. So we've been working with them on that. And
that's
those are some of the things, but there's a picture of the master plan out there in the lobby on that too. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
I, again, apologize about the agenda. If you want me to run through it really quickly, Brandon, if he doesn't have it, I can, but we will need approval of it to move on to the meeting. If you want me to run through it, let me know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
Make a motion to approve.
Did you say it changed or is it the same as what you said?
It's, different from the initial one I sent out a week ago. It's the same as what I sent out today with a reminder. So there were some additions and things like that between last week and today.
So I didn't see the one for the day.
Okay.
I didn't.
So I'll run through it really quickly. We have the same welcome approval of agenda and minutes, public comment period. Next is our standing committee updates, equity outreach and policy. So kind of the same format we use. Old business, just a couple of updates for me about the email address discussion we had last time and about public notice of meetings. So we talked about some communication pieces for meetings that I'll go over. And then also under old business is kind of further discussion about community conversations that we had last time. So having those out and where we will plug in. That's all old business. New business is the Citizen Advisory Council video that we voted on at the end of the last meeting. And then the biggest chunk that changed was actually the staff update portion. So those all came from Dale in the last week. First part is in the alternative response survey. Second is an engagement plan for New Bern Avenue DMV site. Third is rolling Raleigh events for teens. And the fourth piece is the OC update to council in January, next year. I think he said January, but I'm not sure. So those are all staff update. Then we have roundtable and adjourn. So those are all, yes.
Could we add under new business a short discussion on our meeting frequency?
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's one addition of discussion under new business for CB meeting frequency that we'll add.
So, I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Donna, Tom, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next is the approval of the November minutes. They are a skim, so there's not a lot that kind of reflects the conversation we had. So if you missed that meeting, one, we'll go over some of those things again because we'll be talking about community conversations. But if you did get a chance to review them, or if there's anything that you think is pertinent to those minutes that's missing, we can discuss those now. If not, I'll do the same and entertain a motion to approve the minutes as they were sent. When you're ready.
Motion to approve.
From Anthony.
Second.
Second from Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, so that'll be unanimous. Public comment, we'll move into now, and I know we have at least one guest, or were you here to speak or just to? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure.
I actually, welcome up there, introduce myself.
Sure.
I'm Michael Lindsay. I'm the chair of the Hillsborough Wake CAC. And I came here initially, I wanted to talk with Christina. We've had some email exchanges today. I was talking with Ulysses earlier. I've been talking with Donna. And I'll say this, for the CACs and the RCAC, which is the umbrella organization, and that's Robert Rice is the chair of the RCAC. We've been in discussions about what we think needs to happen to speed up community engagement in Raleigh beyond where we are right now. Next month or in February, we'll be at 4 years since the city and a vote developed in secret decided to stop city support of CACs. We have survived. However, half our CACs have not. Many of those are in minority majority neighborhoods. When we talked about inclusion and equity, that does not sound good.
Mhm.
That sounds really bad.
Mhm.
And it is bad. I'm trying to get those started up again if we can. We'd like the city's help to make that happen. We can't do it on our own. We're all volunteers. We need the city's help. I know you guys have a different agenda than what CACs are, it seems like. But I just wanted to let you know that, let you know we're here, let you know we're active. And we want to make something happen. And Lachlan says, thank you. We decided a year plus ago, either we have to incorporate, become 501c, 501c4, get a bank account, raise money and do all that stuff. That's a lot of work. Or with just a little bit of help from the city, we can do what we've always done. And that's where we want to go. I've been talking with, I had a 2-hour meeting with Councilor Jones a few months ago in person. We talked through all this stuff. It was a very good meeting. I met with Corey Branch November 21st. We had a good meeting. I put together what I think we talked about and sent that to him and told him that the RCAC will be back to him with some supporting information about what we think we need to go forward. And we talked about doing something in early January. That's a heads up about what's going on and what we're doing. And I hope we can do something that will have a real impact and not waste another 4 years.
And I think your request is timely because we are going to see that video today that the city made about what CACs do
Okay, great,
or did.
great.
Still do.
Yeah,
And
I know that video. It's a good video.
It is. It's a good video.
So I appreciate you asking. I hadn't thought about speaking, but I'm glad you asked. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Again, we didn't have a sign-in sheet, but if you'd like to sign in or, for our record, you can do that now.
Where's that?
Ellen, do you mind taking?
Yeah, that's something we need for the tracker. Is
Yes,
name and
Yeah.
email information.
yeah. Okay, we're gonna move forward, with our standing committee updates. So, we do have a couple of people meeting today. I know Sarah let me know that she won't be here, so we'll have kind of a truncated, policy committee update, but I do want to start with equity since we two committees presented last time.
And I'm prepared to present plus what I have from Amber. So
Okay,
we'll be good on the outreach side. Yep.
Yeah, yes, we'll start with equity.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Trey. Okay, so I'm going to be distributing some graphics that I spent a really long time putting together.
Oh, I know how that is.
Using all of my degrees to put this together. So appreciate it. Yeah, some extras right here. Okay, so the first one that I gave you is kind of like an overview of the districts that we have here in Raleigh. And there's also a key in the corner, which lets you guys know what all of those different colors are. And what we did as the equity group is we came together and we took all the conversations that we have been having as a community engagement board. And it's like, how can we make what we do more equitable as far as like going into these districts and like being at those community centers? Like, how can we do that? And we kind of came up with a list of things that were like, these are the things we make sure that we want to hit if we're being equitable. And at this point in time, we feel like those are things like majority, minority neighborhoods, you know, neighborhoods that may have lower income, neighborhoods that maybe buy polling places. And so that was kind of our criteria going forward. And I just kind of took that and put it in a graphic mode so you guys can see. So we have diversity, race, and income. on it. The other sheet that I gave you is just kind of like where I picked up that information from the city, like this is from
Yep.
that, so, yeah, all of and it has a definition. Like, I didn't need to reinvent the wheel, so I just like popped it from what they say, the definition of, race income. Oh. What those things are, and you can see, and I also want you guys to be able to see the broader of Raleigh and what they say. I only picked out like the reddest or, like the most out of each category and put those together. So with that being said, after that, I listed all the districts and I pinpointed some of the community centers in those districts that I feel like maybe the closest to those area or a good compromise between those areas for us to like vote on one of these, so we can have our schedule for like, these are the community centers we're gonna hit next year, or for the next set of, members to be like, hey, do you wanna keep this? We did this one last time, let's do this one for, A or B. So nothing is set in stone. These are just some of our suggestions that we wanted to bring to everyone else. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all of this. It's fabulous in terms of our subcommittee meetings and where we were going. The that additional thought process was that if we can identify these spaces, then perhaps we can collaborate with outreach to then invite people for public comment, to do some of that listening in our own working meetings in that way, even though it was very brief at the top, like just hearing the things that go on in this building is really helpful in terms of understanding ways that we might be able to leverage the relationships that we see here. So this is really for us, like a starting point in the conversation to help determine how, one, in grappling with the diversity that exists in our own community, knowing that we have new residents as well as lifelong residents, that ultimately there's learning that needs to be done as we work, and then to invite people to then add to, augment, contribute to the vision of the work as we see it emerge.
And we do have, just to that, we do have something that we had planned to be able to orchestrate once these dates were achieved and stuff like that. So once those are nailed down, the next meeting, I can basically say this was our strategy to do this. We'll talk about it in January in our own subcommittee meeting, and then prepare it to work with Dale, make sure we get everything in the right place. But we'll drive that forward and make sure it's as loud and proud as possible. But yes, we're
Yeah.
very good.
If these are District C, these are the centers that you listed.
I mean, there are a bunch of centers in all the districts. Those are just the ones that I felt like were closest or in closest proximity to some of those categories that I pulled from the website. I was like,
No, I just went up to the Barwell Community Center, but
Which one?
the one we're at now,
yes,
Barwell Road Community Center in District C, but that's not one you consider.
that's not one I consider to be in one of those like areas that probably need our appearance and presence the most.
And maybe because you and I both are part of that, and I know that I've had people ask interest about stuff in other parts of District C too, we could probably just sit together and chat and make sure we feel like the right ones are represented for sure.
You guys who are in those specific
Yes.
districts, if you feel like there are better ones, by all means, I would love to hear that. This is just for me looking at the map and seeing what the map says, but if like there are other ones that you feel like better represent what we're trying to do, like I'm all.
It's a large district, so I know you were in one section and I'm in the other, so I think we could probably balance those out to make sure that we're all touching, like Barwell's the board and you. I'm kind of think I see the one that people have asked about in here, but I'd have to look harder, and then maybe we can just.
Cause I know
We should talk about
like,
that. Yeah,
District
absolutely.
B, it's super long, and so it's hard to try to pinpoint one that may like work, and so, or E, like, there aren't really that many, that could have worked for that area, because a large swath of that is like RDU. Yeah, RDU, but yeah, no, this is open for
Well,
conversation, suggestions, all the things.
Yeah, this is the first time I've
Yeah.
seen it, so I have to digest it a little bit because, what you're focused on here and also knowing growth and development in this area is going to be crazy. So as far as, issues developing for the first year is going to be more priority than you might realize from just this. But anyway, I still have to digest it. It's pretty,
Yeah, and I don't think it would be good to have a group combo around who that is and how that's working in there, because I know I've got people coming to me saying, I need accessibility, I need to be closer to us because the 4:30 starts and stuff like that. So I've had some feedback in that general direction as well. We're really interested to hear about what's going on here. It's just, where are you gonna be? Because it's early, or I don't have a car, I need to get there this way. So can you just tell me what that would work on? So I think you and I could
I
probably.
think that's exactly
come together.
what, like.
Yeah.
My idea was to give you guys the places that I think, because we know how we get. If I say, hey, give me a list, like. It's like some places, and then we're trying to narrow it down from here, when I can just give you my suggestion, and then you can be like, oh, this one works better. Okay, well, let's cross that one out. You know, at least that was our, thinking, because we, again, want to make this collaborative.
This is great data though.
I
Thank
was
you.
like, yeah.
So good.
I think it's the right time to have that conversation, because if you are going into really creating a plan for the next year or 6 months, this is the kind of feedback that you need now. Yeah. You can start changing. So if there are specific issues from constituents or within just this board that need to be considered while they're making plans for this map and what will be our schedule, I think now is the time for us to discuss those.
And to protect your sanity, just let us know what's the best road to providing you with that feedback so that you're not going.
Let talk, let talk, and then I'll say what I was about to say. Go for it.
That means, like, the work you put in says, thank you so much. The only thing just being the District E representative,
Mhm.
I think we're doing a disservice by missing a majority of our district up here in Briar Creek. That's a big area that, knowing that that's where I live, we always get forgotten about because we're so far out. So it's kind of like Abbott's Creek over here. The only thing would be, I would love to see an addition of Briar Creek, but nothing take away, because I think you've done amazing things. So
No, that's super valid, because like, I live in your district, but I live by the mall.
Yeah.
I don't do
Yeah.
at all. So, well, I take it back, because they got the Michaels and the Target
Yeah.
out there, so I do go, but, yeah, of course. Oh, and what I was about to say is, it's gonna be a suggestion, if we can pick one per C to go ahead and put it out there, we will have more than enough time to get feedback from our next meeting. And then I can go ahead and like, we can implement that, and then we can go out and put it to you guys if we're in a position, because I think everybody is super familiar with D. Like, MLK, we're downtown all the time, so, I think we have to do it now. It's something we can come back to at the end of the night, if we have time, but I just wanted to like, see if that's something we could go ahead and pinpoint, and then take the rest of the year to think about the other districts.
I thought we had talked about trying to at least get one meeting in every district.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
So
said,
we just let it change.
is that what you guys were seeing
Yeah.
for next time?
But
Did I say
see-
D? I meant D.
Okay, because you said.
That's what I said,
Yeah.
That's not gonna say.
I knew what she meant. Yeah. Yeah. I followed her in on it.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I meant D, because we were in,
Either
Yeah.
one of your options for D is great.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
Right, like,
But trying to listen to you explain and go between this and this has thoroughly confused me. So I don't know if I need a separate tutoring session
okay,
to understand how this translated to this with all these different colors. And I understand the districts per, or the centers per district. I
Okay.
get that part. But how did all of this translate to this?
so what I did is I took a base map of the districts, and then I overlaid every single one of those, maps in there. Yeah, I laid it on top of that map, changed the opacity to see where it fell, and then picked, so like for, diversity. No diversity, moderately diverse.
And what does no diversity, does that mean like it's an all white or an all black area or all Hispanic or?
It just is no diverse, and this is the paragraph that the website, so I can send them an email and be like, what does no diversity mean? Because like, that's crazy. Or maybe it's like,
Definition.
yeah, I don't really know. Because it has like Homestead Park, like nobody lives there, so like, maybe it's all park or something. But with this one, so with diverse, I chose the darkest of the green areas.
Yeah.
Because that means there's the
With
most
diversity,
diversity
deer
in the darkest of the green areas. And that's what I highlighted on the other map.
It's just not that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
this
so-
corresponds to wherever it was.
This is more like it's for hours.
The darkest.
So those are the darkest of the green, and I chose a couple of them from each district. I didn't pick every single
This is your map.
of the darkest of the dark green. So I just did a couple of them. And so that's how it correlates to the overall, but I wanted everyone to see the overall picture
Okay.
from, Raleigh. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
old.
sorry.
I just have to say I'm old.
No, that's cool. I mean,
It's a lot of, it's a lot of data. It's,
I
yeah.
get this all the time, and I'm like, it makes sense, duh. It does not, and if it doesn't make sense, that means me as a designer, I need to work on making sure I get my information across in a way that people can understand it without me like having to say everything out. So that's feedback for me.
And out of curiosity, also, this right here says with a diversity score. So where did this information come from? Because
So
I want to know how it-
At the bottom of that sheet,
Mhm.
I put my resources because I'm a millennial, so you guys can go back and look on the website that I got the information from. Yeah, I didn't make it up.
And gonna include the digital files in the next.
Oh, yeah, I can give you the digital file
Distribution.
so you can just click on it and it'll take you directly to that website. Yeah, because I was like, they're gonna wanna know. I'm like, I don't know.
And so then you did the same thing with each of these. So
Yes, ma'am.
the household income, whichever was which one?
So the lowest is the red.
Okay, so then these are the lowest low income.
In each district, yes, ma'am.
District. And then the multiple other, is that what that corresponds
The
to
rate.
for rate?
To the race, other and Hispanic and Black in that one.
So those are the areas that have the,
The most Hispanic people and the most Black people. So
oh,
that's both of those.
all right. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Because my 3 minutes is gone away now.
I just want to offer, if you want to review our minutes from, no, it wasn't November, it was October. We actually identified criteria that started the conversation,
Yeah.
which included and we're using this to sort of approximate those things, but like access to grocery stores came into the conversation, like it was.
Places
I would
close
love to have. I
to,
would love
places
see
close to
that.
public transportation, which I will let you know, the more information I add on here, we probably won't have no parks, or no community centers that fit that criteria. I'm just putting it out there. Cause if I add close to like a bus stop, like, it shrinks it even more. So, I can add all the things, but just keep that in
So
mind.
we've talked about as far as preparing for these, having a resource that we can go to ahead of time. Say like to look at your minutes or look at this material. We talked about how we could address that with some kind of a resource that we can go to. So in other words, preparing for this, knowing it was coming or going to something afterwards, to be in a place that we all can go to.
Yes, and part of that conversation, as I recall last month, was sort of the discernment of the value, because like our minutes are logged on board docs.
Mhm.
So they do actually already exist in a digital space, and I know that the conversation was about whether or not we create an email address so that we can bank things like the public comment responder. As I recall, that's unresolved. We did not come to a decision. There was not a motion made to sort of have that. So I would highlight that board docs exists. And then in technicality, as long as you're not copying the entire board, if you're reaching out to Stacy, myself, or, if you're reaching out individually to one person to say like, hey, can I get a hold of this thing? But that's another way to do it without us having a specific answer at this point in time.
I know that I go to the board docs and look at the minutes in there, but I'm just conditioned to do that because you're always being sent emails from the city to say, look at the agendas, look at the minutes. So it's like, it's a quick jump in and here it is. It's easy to find. But yeah.
I just want to, because I'm on the website, that the best neighborhood link.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and so the rest of the sentence on the diversity score, because we also see, ethnic, we also see the consideration on majority race. Diversity, as they define it, areas in green are more diverse, while areas in red are much less diverse. Diversity in this case means a mixture of people with different race and ethnicity living close to one another. For example, all Black and all white areas in the city would both be considered lacking diversity in that particular frame.
I'm sorry, I did not check it out.
So we have a lot of data.
Mhm.
We have excellent visuals. Thank you again for putting all that together. Bringing it back to the point of all of this is being able to find multiple locations or options for us to meet. And within that, the second step of this board equity committee is what that process looks like. So reaching out to those cemeteries, how we get the word out through outreach. But something else that, again, we can discuss, but I want to be sure that we're helping the committee as well as they move forward, are things like today. So Dr. Lang had emailed and said, hey, do we have someone from the community center that's going to come and introduce us to what they do here? And we've talked about having someone from the board who lives in the respective district that we are meeting in, reach out to their council person to let them know that we will meet in their district. We can talk about that, but I don't think we talked about having someone from the actual location that we're meeting, which I think is nice to know where we are and what they're doing. Things like that procedurally, I think are good for the board, for equity committee to know too. So when we go to these places to make it the most advantageous we can, what are we helping them establish we're going to do so that people in the community know that we're here, so that we become more familiar with the places that we meet, so that, you know, whatever the case may be. So if there are any other of those things, I just wanted to make sure that we don't get too lost in the map visual and don't assist the committee in creating a good process for us to meet at these places. That's the point. So I'll go ahead and add, making sure that we reach out to the managers of whatever the areas that we need into your list of things to do.
Directors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can, once we zone in on the list, I will put those together as well. Just like I'll reach out to them and say, yeah.
And in my mind, what I was thinking is, as a courtesy to, we're developing relationships as a new committee. These gathering points, these community centers are highly important to develop that with the director and his staff. So when we come in, we learn that from us, they know us, because that's going to benefit us as we go along in the future to do a lot of things. So even as a courtesy to put them on to give us an introduction, that's a new director. And there's a lot of things going on, but at least you pick up a little something of what's going on in the community. So I just want to say, when I saw the agenda and I asked about that, I didn't want us to miss that opportunity.
Anything else for the equity committee or the culture?
I think last meeting, we also discussed not only making sure, in addition to reaching out to the person at the community center, but we also wanted to make sure that we did a few ahead of time so that we gave those communities time to know that we're meeting there.
Right.
So that those community centers could advertise it. So we talked about that too. So just to put that back kind of on discussion, you know, maybe, well, maybe this isn't a finalized list, but maybe we choose a couple tonight for the next couple of months. So we can kind of get ahead and get the notices to those community centers so that we can start advertising. Would that be helpful to do tonight?
We
I mean,
did,
that was my suggestion, not a couple months, just January, but no, that makes sense.
we did talk at the last community meeting, or the community outreach meeting, about what that will look like with Dale. So once we have that in place and kind of figure that out, we can then mill out how those will get distributed. Or if, for example, too, even if it means that one of us has to get in a car and take some signs to those community centers and just drop them off and do stuff like that, you know, it's fine to do and make that work. So we would activate that part the moment the dates hit, and we can start getting that out effectively.
Well, as we develop this, I don't remember, there's an engagement network that's developed. And if it should be set that this is gonna happen, how that word is gonna get out through this network.
Yes.
In other words, for example, as soon as I saw that at the Southeast CAC, I take that notice, put it on Nextdoor, and I put it on our Facebook page and other things like that. But I mean, when we set these things up, community engagement and these other organizations we're talking about, that's part of this whole thinking.
Yes.
That you know, we
Yes.
talk about how.
We've included things like talking about how we would bring it into next door or things like that. Remembering we have to operate within city, right? And also, but just how that process would look, we need to spell out. So we will, it is a process, but it might operate a little differently. But remember too, that we also get email blasts. For example, our community outreach meeting was canceled and everybody got an email about that, that is signed up for that notice from the city. I got that in my inbox immediately after it was. So we do have those channels. They are built into an outreach plan, but we have to just make sure we understand how it works with the comms department and how that distributes appropriately. So we're working through that, but the first thing to do is get the dates. The activity part of it won't take long for us to roll out, but the dates are the critical part, and then we can go from there. Yep.
So it sounds like from the equity committee that I have here and across, that there is interest, and from everyone else, there's interest in having a vote this evening on our next meeting place for January. That will be in District D. I feel like that's the consensus. If I'm wrong, there are currently two options listed. Carolina Pines Park and Powell Drive Park, for District D.
I'm just gonna put out, does anyone have a preference on it? And then let's vote.
My suggestion would be, we have representatives from each of these districts as part of this committee. We have people that live, I would like to see what they would say about prioritizing this for me. If you went in District C and you asked me about Barwell, Chavis, then I could give you that. That's what I'd like to see. Use that approach to help you vote. Because other than that.
That's you.
I'm not the District D representative, but I do live in District D. Yeah, he's the District D representative. So what I would say between the two, I think Carolina Pines has probably got a lot of parking.
Okay.
Which is, and it's one of those things that I think more about now than I used to, but it's to me, it would make it a little bit easier, especially if we promote this and we get people from the public to come. The rooms that are available, there is one, I'd even like to pick the room, when you go in, there's the rooms to the
With the
left.
glass.
Hmm?
That has the glass. that's in the
Yes,
Front.
yes, absolutely. I think that would be the better space to have folks in if we possibly can. There's another classroom style that's a little bit about this size, maybe a little smaller off to the right that I think is less desirable. But if we can do that, that'd be great. There's a lot of public meetings there, and I think folks are familiar with that space. So
Do you want to add a caveat? Because I used to live in District D across the street from Carolina Pines. I know this is super close to public transportation. Like super.
It is, and the staff there's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, there's nothing at all. I mean, not that there's anything at all wrong with Powell Drive. Another great park. I just think that there's some advantages at Carolina Pines.
Fair enough. Ms. Donna?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So I will, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's my district. Well, Powell Drive is my district too, but I do think more people may come out to Carolina Pines. I'm not 100% sure of that, but.
The parking part's is a good element, because we had our outreach meeting, remember, we're like, oh, let's pick this building, and we picked a building with 3 parking spots. Not unknowingly picked a building with 3 parking spots and went, oh, okay, this could be a
I
nightmare.
mean, it's one of those things. Also in the district, Peach Road Community Center is amazing, but the parking there is not, we all would have a hard time at times in that parking lot, especially if it's nice weather and folks are out, playing in the playground and stuff, so and whatnot. So, and further away from public transportation, although it shouldn't be. So anyway,
Well, I appreciate this because like in our meeting was just 4 of us. So like having this diversity of perspective is great. And we weren't really focusing, I think, on accommodating our own needs. And so I think that that's an important layer of the conversation. So thank you very much for highlighting those things, like the fact that public transport is near there, because those things do need to be criteria in terms of how we engage with folks, especially if it's about them coming to these working meetings.
So, I guess.
We can open it to just a vote to have it official, since
Yeah.
we did vote for the equity committee to take this on. So we'll entertain a vote for the Carolina Pines.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
before we do that, can we maybe not vote on this and let the equity committee decide it, so we're not voting on every one? Because I think it's, and that's something I wanted to talk about in new business as far as frequency, because I feel like we are having meetings at such a rapid pace, there's not a lot of time to get work done, and whether once a month is the right frequency or not. If we're looking at 12 of these, I think rather than us voting every meeting for the next meeting, or the next 2 meetings or 3 meetings, having the equity committee actually make the decision and have them reach out to folks on the board for additional thoughts before they vote is probably more efficient.
So ideally, this would just be for January so that we can get it set. The initial, when we decided to set the retreat, was to have them create a slate, so we didn't have to vote on it at every meeting. So
I was trying
that's
to
just,
be democratic, okay?
And I absolutely want to support that in the sense of, again, like, there's just 4 of us, that's a limited pool, and you've raised really great considerations, and I like that idea too. One, because I feel like perhaps in that relational space, activating those conversations, not having quorum on the emails, just as a mindful thing, in terms of reaching out to people that have specific and further insights so that we can then move forward. Could, like something could be in our marching orders so that we have work in between meetings to accomplish.
so the important thing is just to establish we're meeting in January. I'll say that flat out, because
Okay.
we've been a little bit behind and that is causing problems in scheduling. So I just want to make sure we have a place to meet. And then from that point on, however, the process that equity builds out a calendar of locations with the consideration of everything that's said, I think that's fine. I just really don't want us to be without a place. For a place.
Let's make it Carolina.
That's all.
Yeah, and
Yeah, we don't have to vote, but
Yep.
it's up to the.
may have been instrumental on that part, just because I want to check the decision making. Like that's, I want to get consensus on the decision making, because once we've kind of arrived at a space, then we can go for a little while, just automate it, and then there can be a call to account for like, oh, we need to adjust it because we're not hitting things that are important to us in those. So that's partially me in terms of resisting, like, I don't like unilateral decision making, I'm not a fan.
Well, we'll have a consensus then that the board agrees that Carolina Pines is the best option for our next meeting in January in District D.
Yep.
I'll let you as a committee kind of confer how you want to work out both the outreach with OCE and the outreach committee. And then any support that you need from either policy or the rest of the staff to make sure that we have the information out. You as the committee can let us know. But as long as we have a place, then I think we're set and y'all can go.
All right, I'll talk to Amber separately and Dale, we'll get this organized for that. And yes, obviously, just get the details to me and then I will move that part forward and make sure that it's available in time. In a timely manner, we'll obviously probably be on the other side of the holiday, but it will get done relatively quickly.
Now, as a procedure, when we have these people listed, staff handles the reservations and schedule.
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna let outreach go next and I'll end with just some brief comments from policy.
Right, so there are a couple things here. The video shoot is complete. Donna was available to assist with that as well as a speaker. We also used a couple people from staff, nice diverse group of people that were in there. I meant to send around a couple photos and I just forgot to do so. So the video is done. There were only a couple of minor adjustments that were made by comms. One was that it's no longer required to provide your address at these meetings. And so we had that moved and struck from it. And there was something else very tiny, but insignificant in its own right. Everything else was pretty much apropos of what we agreed upon and voted on and passed forward. So the initial plan was to maybe have an edit back by the end of this month, but they have a few extra projects that they're getting crammed for. So it's going to shift a little bit to January. Quite honestly, this is fine considering we said that by March it would be launched and available. So really what has to happen next is the committee has to circle back again and just talk about what the next steps are for getting this out. How will this be distributed by the city? How will we roll out some sort of thing through comms announcing that it's available. I know there's been talk about a survey. Well, did you use this or not? That we have to kind of get back to. So we will do that in January in our meeting. Obviously, we know Matt Golden left the board, so we can kind of down one. And then we had a couple instances of people being sick at the last meeting, so we just couldn't get together. This will forward to January. So all those parts and components are coming together. I will likely have an update for you in the January meeting, and now District D, very exciting location. Thank you very much. And so we'll have that. I noticed in the agenda, go ahead.
I have a comment about the video. We got to see a few of us, Carmen, Ulysses and I got to see a little draft and it looked very good, except it's really not accurate anymore because in the video, we talk about a guaranteed 3 minutes and that is no longer accurate.
So is that an adjustment that was made
I have no knowledge of any of this.
Well,
It's a
Pastor Joan will tell us what
It's a
happened
recent
yesterday.
turn of events that
Mhm.
happened like within the last.
Yeah. You wanna,
let's pause on that. I want to make sure Tom gets through.
Yeah, I think, and please too, anytime that happens, let's make sure a committee member from outreach or something is involved, just so we're not getting things scrambled and et cetera. I think that's helpful. Yeah, just very helpful. Okay, well, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. If it means it's a reshoot, then it's a reshoot. For now, we are where we are with it. We proceed forward. We'll worry about that part next. So there is that. Okay, sorry, thrown off a little bit here. Project 2. So in the agenda, there's something about for today from last week's meeting. Sorry, I had to pull that up separately about the community conversations. I don't know if that's similar to what Project 2 was for ours, which we are starting in January.
So there's some overlap. Community conversations were part of our
Okay.
work plan that was
Yeah.
approved. So
Yep.
the idea of that being piggybacking
Yep.
or partnering with other events and organizations throughout the community.
Yep.
To represent community engagement board, but also
Yep.
to engage their audiences.
Okay.
I know that was something that you guys developed as well.
Yes.
We dug into what that.
We're starting that now in January as well, since the video is off to the side, barring a potential edit. So we will start that in January to outline what we had in our project plan from August. I'll probably have to carry the majority of it unless we pick up another outreach member, which is fine for now. Amber, helpful as well on it. So that starts in January. Will it be presentable for a January meeting? Not sure, probably more like February. But again, I think it's similar to what just happened here. Let's making sure that we're all just kind of coalescing so we know where we're at. So we don't run off and do something and come into a meeting and get told that we've had a separate conversation. This is actually how we do it. And then the last thing, so the meeting locations, the other thing we were gonna ask about were meeting locations around members for the different events and places. We've got that. It seems that we have one for January. We'll figure out the rest later, and that's fine. I did have a conversation with Corey Branch, a couple other people at an event a couple nights ago. He was talking a little bit about the van and was asking me some questions about it and asked if I'd like to get together and talk a little bit more about the van and maybe some things can be rolled out around it. And I said, sure, we could just have a very light conversation, and like anything else, I would bring it back to the meeting to discuss as a collective group. So he's going to kind of just pull something together and talk about it a little bit. Was interested, didn't know much about it. I didn't actually bring it up. Somebody from the museum brought it up. So it just I just happened to fold into it. But that's it. Again, we just missed last month's meeting just due to the fact that we were where we were with what it was, but we're good to go. So, and that about covers everything for us. Yeah.
I do have one addition, because we did not meet, but I had emailed Amber asking if it would be helpful around the topic of community conversations, which is one of our
Yeah.
projects. If she wanted me to kind of look for some events and things like that. So there are 3 events in January, since we aren't meeting probably until mid-January, just to throw that out there, because when I went into community engagement, the van is at certain places already in January. So if you go on the City of Raleigh calendar, there is an event on January 6th, January 13th. That is the Alternative Response Program Community Engagement Pop-Up Event. And so those are on the calendar. And so I would like to attend those. And if anybody is interested, just to throw it out there, it looks like that's a great time for some of our members to go. And
Yeah, I agree. I will be there.
And then
Yep.
there's also January 18th, that Ask a Planner Newburgh Station Area Plan is on the calendar
Yep.
as well, which I think would be a great event for some community engagement members to attend, because there's probably going to be a lot of people there with feedback about that station plan. So I just thought I would throw that out there, even though we haven't met yet, to put these kinds of things together.
Yep.
Those are in January and great events that would, if anybody's available to go and just pop in.
And I don't know if you have larger things to cover or just that in particular, the change in this video aspect or the change in the presentation, public meeting. Yeah. Was that the only thing?
Let's have one conversation. Cheryl, I want you to finish because I know Carmen just had a question relevant to what we're talking about. So let's start there.
I don't know the answer to that question. I didn't see a joint thing with the commerce listed on the event descriptions. That doesn't mean that it's not there. So I don't know.
And I think, thank you for bringing up those events. I do think that we need to have some sort of discussion about the difference and purpose of the community engagement board, community conversations, right? And then the what that overlap is with what outreach is proposing. Because it does sound like the same thing in some senses. But I do want to make sure that the board as a whole is also taking up community conversations as an issue or project, not just outreach. So if it's something that we need to pull out of outreach to discuss as a whole, that's fine. But I don't want us to get too far into attending or creating a framework without it being like a unified decision of what we're doing. So I think it's great if we can attend some of those events, but we do have to talk through at least scheduling and what the procedure is going to be and what the purpose of us attending those events will be.
And for fair, in interest, I'm not attending as a community engagement board member of those aspects. I'm attending as a citizen. I'm not there to be a board member or have a board member conversation.
Yeah.
There are things that just impact where I'm at currently
Yeah.
in downtown in particular, that we have some general interest in understanding more about, but I would not, that's under the guise of living at where I live, not being part of this organization.
Well, and to be fair, that's me projecting because I'm a procedure person. I want
Yes.
to know-
Oh, no, I'm with
I
you.
want to know steps, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you.
Before we
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
anything Official capacity, I just want to make sure that we, one, honor what the work that outreach has put into like creating this framework, but if that's the framework that works as a whole, as a board, let's make that what our community conversations are. I just want to make sure we're.
It's just my recollection in terms of the conversations that at least I've had in these rooms, it's like that's the stronger choice because otherwise we're moving into event planning and management in terms of hosting our own community conversations. And capacity seemed to be an issue once we got to that land.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So I think the only real concern that we have in that space is respecting quorum and recognizing that like we can't, that it's difficult to envision a world where we're not talking CEB business if we go to accurately represent.
Correct.
Which means that we just have to have a limit that like one thing is a hard limit of the number of people that go to the event. So we have to keep an eye on that piece. So that, I mean, it may not, you know, and we could intentionalize it by saying, you know, we've got 3 events. What is everybody's availability? Can we get even coverage on that? And then the other question that I would have is there a possibility for us to reach out to the organizers of the event? So then we have a stronger, again, relationship in that space. And, you know, we're not just randomly popping up as a community board entity and sort of disrupting the world, because we haven't necessarily been invited.
And it wasn't my intention to ever even introduce myself, it was just attend.
Correct. Yeah, if you live in District C right now, that first one's a real popular one to attend. So sorry, I did not mean to interrupt in that capacity. I think my question to you was if it was in regards to what happened yesterday and the 3-minute change, if now was a good time to bring it up as we were covering it all, or if you had other materials you were going to be covering as well. It was just that in particular.
I mean, I want to give any updates or answer any questions that you guys have of me. So if you need anything, but I don't want to interrupt your schedule. So, whatever you find.
I'm gonna do a quick policy committee update and then, I'll go through old business. We should not take too long on one end. But I'd love to just move through that first and then give you an open floor so we don't get too many issues.
Sure.
Tied into one.
I have to leave a little bit after 6 to get to my next meeting.
Okay.
So
We should be good. Anything else for outreach at the
No.
moment? I think we'll come back to some of that just when we talk about community conversations.
Yeah.
In a little bit, but anything else that's pertinent? Thank you for the work on video and Donna for being part of it. All of the work that's gone into putting it together and scheduling and rescheduling to get it done. If I would see it. And if you have any of those photos, someone email, I can.
I'll send around. Yeah, I'll send it.
Okay, so I was not able to attend the last policy committee meeting, but, Sarah sent over, not just the minutes, but also what was covered primarily from what I understand, the procedure for the, public comment tracker, that the committee is sort of responsible for. And the biggest update that I got from her just via email, one was looking at the process. I think during the last meeting, we talked about, she went through the procedure. Hi, Nadia. If you didn't get to meet Nadia, she's a new member of the Office of Community Engagement staff. She was at our last meeting, but, I know some people were not here. Sarah went through the procedure. And I think there were a couple of things that were edited. I don't think we voted on anything officially to change on it, but she did send an update on that, as well as some templates for communication with anyone who does deliver comments. So that includes the follow-up thank you email, for their public comment and a time frame to have that sent to them. Thank you email, from the committee if their issue or point is something that's assigned to the committee to take on. And then a thank you email that is part of the referral. So again, if there's something that is not an issue that we can take up or have knowledge of, but we say you can talk to Councilmember Jones because she will know everything about that. There's an email that says we're referring you to someone else because we don't have that answer, but here's the best option that we can give.
And could I just interject one thing? That's why it's gonna be really important going forward that we capture anybody who comes to speak, their email, their, their contact information, so.
Yeah, and so that, they don't feel like they just come and speak and have to leave and we don't care as well, just to be able to stay in touch. And then there's an update, a template for an update email. So if there's something that we take on as a committee or as a board, it tells the person, hey, this is where your information has gone. This is what we're working on. And then the fifth one is a close of action or kind of like a full circle email that says, this is what's gone on, action has been taken or not. And just gives them an update along the way of what goes on with their comment. I do not know from those updates if there is a incentive to look for a vote on the procedure. Part of that is kind of dependent on what we do with this email issue, because that will inform where the community tracker lives. I think for now, it's just in an Excel document that's being kept track of. But I don't want to bring it to a vote because I was not at that meeting and Sarah would be the most confident to present that. But I did want to let you know what was presented in the meeting. Again, this will be on board docs. If I remember well enough, I will send out any other committee minutes that I've gotten so that you can read through what they've talked about as well. And that will maybe help prepare us for votes for the next meeting, as well as any of this information that's come up today. So look for a bunch of stuff in an email from me. Sorry about that. Yep.
Yeah, I agree, we shouldn't vote on it. I think we need to read the minutes, so you'll have some background. Because the one important thing we talked about at that meeting is that if someone makes a comment and they ask for some action, to try to decide by the end of our meeting who that will be assigned to, instead of waiting to the next meeting.
By the end of the general board meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, so the chair say that's gonna be assigned to one of the standing committees, or it's gonna be referred to staff, or something like that, so we save some time. So if that may not have been in there, but we felt that's an important thing to move those requests along if they're made during the comments. So that's something that you should look for, and I think also just kind of heads up, the vice chair was kind of involved with some of those templates to send out.
Mhm.
So just, you know, so that we'll know what's going on. But I just want to mention that to everybody here that you really gonna need to, what I'm hearing here is read these our background information so we can be fully understanding of what we're voting on, what happened. Just say it.
Okay. Any other policy committee members have anything that's? Okay. So I'll move out of our standing committee updates. This agenda timeline means nothing tonight, so I'm just gonna keep rolling through and trying to get us where we want to be. First is about the internal email address. So we had a really good discussion about having an email address that was not just the community.engagement at whatever the very long email address we have. And I want to, so there were several things that we asked Dale to kind of follow up on our behalf to figure out. And thankfully Ellen is also here because a lot of times I ask Dale and Dale's like, let me ask Ellen. So we can go straight to the source. But there were some things that I asked him knowing that he wasn't going to be here just so I could follow up on. One, we talked a lot about the confidentiality of that email address and what happens kind of with the information that's shared there. And I'll read you exactly what Dale said and we can kind of discuss it from there if we need to, but his comments were that we can use Gmail if we want to as a place to host everything, which would be for email and any documents that we have as a board. It does fall within the Sunshine Law as well. You can read the emails during the full CEB meetings, but it's not required as it's not considered public comment. So if you have things that come through that email address, you can share them, but it is not required. So it kind of falls under, I guess, the same rules and guidelines as we have for how we operate under the Sunshine Law. I think that was the major thing that he responded to there. Ellen, is there anything else that would be really specific toward information that's shared via email if it's an internal, not a Raleigh email address?
No, there's nothing specific. I think it would be beneficial because then you will cut off the middleman that was forwarding it. Just remember that it will be, be managed by the board. So try to keep it as generic as possible so that it just continues on even as new members come on board. But that's really it. Like, we actually encourage you.
Okay. So that is not something that you have to manage as well.
That is correct. Well, and also I know that there has been, because we have the city of Raleigh, at the end, there may be some people that it kind of avoids that transparency, I guess, because although we forward everything to you as they come in, that's also a mailbox that we use for other types of things. So if it's the board's unique email, then that's a little bit kind of more open as well.
I know we also had a question about the disclaimer. Whenever we talked before, you mentioned that if there's kind of like a subset or an external, whether it's social media or email address that is not representative of the city, but it is used by a board, they have to have a specific disclaimer.
Correct.
Do you know what that says?
Yes.
You have that we can.
So that is so the manual that you guys have, it's in there, and I can most definitely send you that. Do I know exactly what it says? Pretty much it just says that the opinions of the board are not the opinions of the city. It is short.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's worded in a very specific way, and then you have both a longer disclaimer and a shorter one, which I think it needs the characters for like Twitter or X or whatever it's called right now.
Right.
But those are in the manual, and if you guys need it, I can forward it to you. That's not a biggie.
Yeah.
I just want to be respectful of Counselor Jones' time because she has to leave at 6.
Yes, and that clock is a little bit ahead. I'm keeping track.
All right, thanks.
So I don't do a disservice to the conversation we had last time. Is there anything else that anyone had about the email address that they want to ask now?
On that note, I do want to add one thing. The emails that you guys put on your applications, remember those also are emails that are going to be showing on the website. If anyone does not want their particular email, you have to let us know so that we change that. And then we will change that also in the Granicus widget, which is in the website to reflect. So as soon as you guys open on new, let us know so we can actually change it as well on the website.
Last thing on email, I just want to gauge the interest on moving forward with this. I don't want it to linger too long and into the new year. So I would love to open the floor for a vote to create this email address. The parameters for that do not have to be specified right now. We can discuss more about what we want it to be, what we want it to include, what we want it to house. But if it is something that we want to move forward with for any reason, I would love to vote on that now, if you see fit.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Vote for an email address managed by the officers of, the board.
That's an official motion.
So official motion.
Second. Haley's like, Haley's for the second.
Okay, all in support of the motion to create an email address that is managed by the board.
The officers of.
The
Yeah,
officers.
yes.
Well, I mean, just, well, for procedure. We have to designate someone, and I think there's a liability to saying. The whole board, and it's liability to having one person, but we've got, 3 individuals, so the officers.
Officers of the board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? By God, it passes. We've done something. Thank goodness. I'll try to work with you and Dale just to getting that set up as soon as we can. Other thing, just as a quick update, we talked about some concerns and wishes for how we communicate about where our meetings are, when they're happening, and how the public finds those out. So I kind of ran those back to Dale as well. And about like what the process is for letting people know when we're meeting. I know the last meeting, the notification was sent out late. So what that schedule looks like, how that's done. So this is from Dale. One, he posts the meetings onto the city website as soon as he gets the location, which again is why it's important to have those ahead of time. Sooner he gets locations, the better. 2, he can post the location TBD if we need to, but hopefully that's not an issue after we get everything sorted and the equity board does their good work. And the third thing is that you mentioned that he and Ellen met with comms regarding whether the board meeting information should be included under the general community engagement news, which already has over 1,800 subscribers, or if they should create a subscription for CEV news and updates. So they met with comms to discuss whether what we do here should be under community engagement news, which already has subscribers, or if there should be a separate subscription for just community engagement forward. He says that comms and our IT are working to see if it's a viable option for CEV, as there are some complications in doing it, but they're waiting on an update. So that I think answered, I think you had the question, or maybe Leon had the question about when you go to subscribe for emails, is community engagement an option? So
A listing,
that's what they're-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what they're discussing.
Yeah.
So, again, just updates, things are still moving along. Hopefully we have an answer to that soon.
Yeah.
But I also think that the back work that we're doing now to set things sooner and the process will help them as well, because they'll have everything to get out.
There are some complicated can spam laws and policies. I've had to do these my entire career that will help also dictate that so that they understand, because people, what you sign up for versus what you don't, how you get this, they're very, 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 very gnarly about that. So, live that, yeah.
I think, and this is a challenge for our board, because with community engagement and being able to distribute information. And so barriers should be identified, because in order to get information to people the non-traditional way, we need to be also looking at that.
Right.
And we don't need barriers, because that's what did not help the community engagement process before. So we're here to help improve that. So we identify a barrier, we look at it.
Yep.
That's say, here's a barrier and that's it. But
No. Yeah, no. And look, and we've talked about it. The outreach group has talked about that as well. And there's, elements of how we do this. How does it work within a budget, for example? Like you can't send a postcard every time. We just don't have it. But also, what are the rules of engagement on that, and how do we get through them, and then work through that process accordingly? Everything, when they come back and if they come back, for example, and say to us, we're going to create a community engagement board list. Outreach committee will lay out how we're going to promote that there is a community engagement board list to the community for people to then go find and sign up for and get part of. And then we'll be able to go through and work through that in that channel. And I have somebody, in fact, at WRL who might be willing to help with that. So we have some ability to then promote that this exists so that people can click on that box and get our information and make sure we're getting it steadily too.
Well, and again, non-traditional.
Non-traditional
Is,
is,
doesn't include the electronic stuff.
I know.
So.
I know. It's just challenging. Yep. Yep. It's just challenging, but we're trying to figure it out. Yep.
And just for clarification, this will be managed, this is managed internally, which means that the type of communication that's going to be out will be very limited because it is internal. So it would be like, there's a meeting on this day at this time.
Yeah.
Pretty much, that's it. So,
But you do send, for example, I do get from staff to say, help me just, as a CAC, help me distribute this information.
right,
So
that's
once you
city,
do that,
that's city, that's not, so there's a very, if you open if you want to open your account to send like newsletter, which is pretty much what you're sending it for, to your subscribers, because it is city managed, because you're going to be using, now if you open your own, that's a different story. But if you're going to be using what we use, then you would have to be giving Dale the information and Dale would be posting it.
Yep.
But it's limited because it is city managed to meetings, maybe very few events that have to be approved by communications. So just think about that. One of the things that I suggested to Dale was, for the time being, because we already have our subscribers, if you want, we can just add it as part of community engagement, Office of Community Engagement. There's a meeting for the Community Engagement Board this day at this time. We already have people who have subscribed. Eventually, if you guys want to go ahead and do your own, that's fine, but the information is not going to change because it is still managed by the city. If you open your own subscription, whether you use, I don't know, so many different subscribers that are out there, and that there's nothing as long as you put a disclaimer, then you are managing it. It would be the same as email. But the one that we're talking about is managed by the city, so you are still going to be very restrictive. That's some of our boards, like for example, we have the Office of Equity and Inclusion, they have like 6 boards. So for them, it makes sense that they have different subscriptions for all their boards, because otherwise the people who are signed up for their office are gonna be bombarded with everything that comes for all of the other boards. But for our specific office, because we're small and you guys are big, then it's easy for us to be able to just kind of send that information to our subscribers as part of.
Mhm.
So just something to think about.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I think as we get our scheduling down better and we can work directly with outreach to say, here's a checklist of what we need to send every month to make sure people know that our meetings are happening, that will help. So that even if it is through OCE, if it's through us, it's getting out there in a timely fashion in multiple ways so people know about it. I'm gonna stop us there so that we can allow Councilmember Jones to give us an update before we move on to anything else. We may cut out some things at the end, but that's okay, because I think this is important information. And thank you for your patience with
Yeah.
our
Thank you.
long-winded discussion.
Whenever, I love attending the meetings when I can. I promise you, I did try last month. I didn't realize you guys were having spiritual. So I was down in OEP, like, where is everybody? So my bad. I promise that I will make every effort to be here. I wanted to give you guys an update because it really does affect the work that you guys have done and done a really, really amazing job at. Last night, we did limit everyone to 1 minute of public comment, which goes against the video that you guys have put through that guarantees 3 minutes. That was voted on. It was told at 10:30 in the morning yesterday, and I made a motion. I made 2 motions to, one, keep it to 3 minutes, and that failed. It was a 4-4 vote. And then I made a motion for 2 minutes, and that was a 4-4 vote. So because the mayor, it is her meeting, she does at this moment get that right. And it was frustrating and did mention that was something that you guys worked on, that we did guarantee that was a vote. And frustrated that it did not go through. So I would not suggest at all to change any of the videos that you have. This is something that that's our job to keep fighting for. So,
Was it unique to this? Was it just unique to the hundreds of folks? Was it
we had
because they?
108 people
Yeah,
sign up
I saw that.
to speak, which
Yeah,
I am like, this is our job. This is why we separated the meeting.
Yeah.
Why council said does not do it during a meeting that goes into public hearings, then you'll be there for 12, 15 hours. We separated it for that, so that we could allot for this. And, it's just frustrating that the last minute it gets changed. I think it's your job to be there until everybody has spoken. Councilmember Black, we all know, and I did stay afterwards to speak with everyone until they were done speaking. Just to make sure that they knew that we did value their opinion. So I don't foresee this as something that would be the norm.
Yeah.
But, it's something that I want to be able to say, hey, this is everything, so please don't change any of these things.
okay, yeah, so I mean, basically, we move forward. If somebody makes that decision, then that's on them to explain why, but
That's on.
we've
You
provided,
guys-
well, we've provided the diligence to, okay,
And we need to be accountable.
okay, I understand,
I
okay,
think that in any updates that you guys do.
yeah,
To council, highlighting that would be very effective to highlight that, hey, this is what we did this work, it's been undermined, 3 times.
yeah,
It's hard to build trust with the community, all our board, if one would say something, so that's what I would advise you. I
understood.
would not say anything. I'm sorry, Stacey.
Were there any provision for if you do have 100 people who show up, and it's just pertinent to that meeting because of the number of?
And it changes because it was also done in August when there were 50 people signed up. So because it is at the mayor's discretion, she gets to decide when she doesn't want to be there. And last night, it was a lot of people. So that's nothing that we wrote down.
I would like to comment because there were actually 2 changes. The meeting was held at 4 PM instead of 7 PM, which is something that is regularly at 7 PM.
Yeah.
She changed it to 4.
Mhm.
I knew a lot of people were signing up who wouldn't show up, and that's exactly what happened. And she changed, it was again 4 or 5 hours before the meeting, where she sent out an email to everyone who had signed up. I was one of the people, that we all were cut to 1 minute. And then it was not the council. So it is something that is just at the mayor's discretion. So this whole process that we went through and spent a lot of time, and I was very proud of this one change that the CEB to make sure that the citizens knew they had 3 minutes guaranteed that they could talk. And I know I was incredibly offended, and I made comments last night, they're going around on Facebook, that as a member of the CEB board, I felt it was a real slap in the face to the work that we do, and that we did.
And I think that those comments are important from anyone and all of you to come through. And you don't need to wait to public comment. Those are things that the work that you guys are doing, if you ever feel that it is disrespected, please elevate those. And I'd be more than happy to help make that and facilitate that to happen.
We took this on as a board. So individually, things happen, and I can understand. We really went out to the community and got feedback to develop this. We're trying to improve this trust and transparency with our officials and with the public. So what I don't hear saying, and I don't know, is that in the procedure, because we can't manage it when issues come up, it's gonna have to be managed by the mayor and the city council. But the public needs to know at whose discretion it can be changed at any time. Is that in there? See, and if it's not that, those are the kind of communications that we feel.
Well,
And we can discuss and
And
make.
I will say
come back
that
with
this is
comments.
not something that we knew either.
Well,
So
that-
by any means, did I
Well,
know that she could do that? No, until she does it. Then it happens and now we've said, okay, now that's something that we need to add in. And on our end, we're trying to work on that, but that was not something that I knew.
I would, go ahead.
I will say that there is a specific bullet point in the ordinance that we looked at where it does say the mayor has discretion. And we talked about it in the meeting, and I think there was a recommendation to evaluate that. And so that's one of the things that we were sort of, I think, hoping that that might be a moment of the council sort of addressing that.
Which is when we moved it and we
Yeah.
moved that meeting to here, that's what I thought.
No. I'm saying that in our investigation with the ordinance, there's specifically a place where it says the mayor has discretion.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is that when we as a council voted to move it to a separate day, we thought that that was a whole new thing. Like, we didn't realize that we didn't address that by saying we guaranteed it. By saying the words guarantee, we thought that that's now the new rule. And
It's only guaranteed until the mayor's win.
But I would caution to our board in general that while we have varying degrees of individual political ideals and what they are, I would caution us to put out a broad statement that says the community engagement board is slapped in the face by doing this. I think if you're offended by it, you should be, and I understand that as an individual and as a citizen, but I would caution us not to completely wrap the entire board into it unless the board sits down and maybe wants to issue a statement or something in regards to say, we were disturbed by this event after doing such and such, versus putting it out there and then ending it up in what becomes Raleigh's vitriol kind of thing. I'm here to serve the community. The politics of what go on internally, that's not our job. That is not our charge.
Yeah.
Our charge is to do these things. So individually, I would tell you, please do the same reason why we just talked about earlier about this committee meetings. If we go to those, we're going as individuals, not showing up as board members, but be very careful, because that can have backlashes and things that we're not necessarily interested in. Our job is to be here and to try to move things forward in a positive and approachable thing. Adding that we're all wild up about it is not, I would be very careful about that. And I advise that career-wise, marketing-wise, PR-wise, all the time. It's not just specific to this. It opens up bigger cans than it's worth debate.
That's totally up to you guys. You
Yes.
guys can decide, and that's on
Yeah.
for you to do.
Yes.
Kind of on that same note, I would love to know, maybe, this could be individually, this could be as a council member, because you've seen the side that we worked on and you've seen it being implemented. For us as a board, is there any charge that you see for us to take on or to look at or reevaluate from what's happened? I mean, I know we are allowed to offer recommendations and do some of the legwork. If that changes on a whim, there's nothing we can do about it. But is there anything that you would say to us or suggest to us to do? Or
In regards to the 3 minutes,
to this specific topic? Yeah.
I think you guys have done, and the video that you're doing is exactly what you should. If you decide as a group that that's something you would like to make a comment because you feel it goes against what you did, you're more than welcome to do that. I would not ask you to change anything that you have done. And if that ever rises to the level where you feel that we are not doing our job as council, at that point, I would ask that you come in front of us during the council meeting as the board to ask the question and say, hey, what's our purview here? What do we do?
And I like, the board, at some point, we should discuss this at the board so that we know whether we lay it to rest or not. It's not political as far as I'm concerned. When I'm looking at policy and procedure and I ask that question, that's what I wanted to know. So the approach is what I'm talking about. And we're talking about transparency and trust to the public so that they're aware that that option that was there. And then that could happen anytime, even in that video when you make it, to say, hey, that's there, in some kind of information so people understand that. I'm not worried about the politics. I'm worried about how to handle that so that people know up front this can change. And I have no control over it. You just need to know it.
We can put that in the language.
What I'm saying is our approach as a committee is not to get political.
Correct.
Think about policy procedure and how do we address to make this successful.
Correct.
So not to say, you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
So when we come back to this is the way we should approach it. And if we see any recommendations that we should give to the council, then that should come out of us.
Yeah.
To help improve it or to avoid, that's all.
Right, and I think as counselors, that's something we are taking on as to how we can fix that. That's nothing that the board can do. You can't change what the mayor is able, that's us. I'm coming here to let you know what happened. And that's something that I personally am working on, and I'll keep you updated.
Just from, to understand the procedure, because I was a little surprised by this. This can't happen without a vote. So while it's the mayor's discretion to bring it up, it does require 4 votes in addition to
Not
pass. Is
to
that?
change, because she is the controller of the meetings, and so ultimately she can do whatever she wants.
Okay, so it's, and again, I'm just trying to fully understand, because I planned on watching and, turned it on and saw sort of this happening at the beginning and was somewhat confused. So she can unilaterally, based current policy, unilaterally make the decision.
Yeah.
And the call for the vote at the beginning was to override that decision?
Yes.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to clarify, because I watched and I went, wow, this is fascinating.
Make a decision.
Yeah, so it is a
and then
unilateral decision that you can.
In that instance, I needed 5 votes to
Mhm.
overturn her decision.
Got
We
it.
only got 4.
Okay.
That's where we were missing. one.
Yeah, I was wondering about the,
Yeah.
the
That's the
ability to send the email and then have the vote. That's why I was wondering, okay,
She
yeah,
doesn't need
so,
a vote to change anything, but I need a vote.
so the 2 votes at the beginning were for the 3 minutes and the 2 minutes. Got it, okay.
Starting at 3, then when it didn't go through, tried for 2 to
Yeah.
give people something, and then it landed at 1.
So away from all this very quickly, I was gonna say at the end, I was gonna bring up an example of how other engagement, community engagement, other boards inside the city have been operating. And obviously, you've probably seen me at a handful of the safety vibrant ones with a lot of folks over the past few months. I wanted to commend actually that board and that committee in particular for how they've handled that entire process from start to finish. Represented a lot of the business owners, obviously citizens as well that live very close by. Each meeting had its challenges. Each meeting was addressed. Each meeting had follow-up afterwards. And in return, we're starting to see improvement. And so it's refreshing to see that these things have been put in place by the city, not just maybe to quell voices or concerns or just give people an outlet to go to for a little while, but in an operational context, they actually do very good work. So my hat's off to you guys for handling that. That was a very, very challenging, emotionally driven, difficult period, but so far it's yielding results, and it's clear that as a committee, you're working together. And I glean from that what I hope we can do collectively as an engagement board, as well as another committee in this ecosystem, because you could just see it on display and doing what it had to do. And you did a very, very good job. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will say that committees in general had been lacking prior to this fall, where they just didn't meet ever, and I got really frustrated with that. So it's really been a point of ours to make sure we are meeting and having discussions. Just a point of clarification, the things that happened outside of that, which were the security and all of that stuff, was not us. So there was actually no decisions made in any of our committee meetings. That's not to say, and
but it created an opportunity to have, and to be honest, some of the stuff DRA came up with maybe doesn't work, but then this Capitol Police thing comes, but there are things that moved in it that whether or not at the end of the day, we know that in the background.
I just wanted to make clear.
On a surface area, it's clear that people are listening and engaging. And that's the feedback that I get from that community as well, from folks who say, hey, isn't it pretty impressive that we feel like we got heard and things are happening, and it was that committee and not just going to a city council meeting. So again, I wanted to share that.
Appreciate that. I just want to make sure.
Sure.
Those are not the things that we actually did, but we did have a space for people to speak. And so I'm glad that is
I'll
reflected.
take your pat on the back. It's good. It's good.
Sorry.
So I don't think this is really directed towards you. This is, for me, directed towards the video. I think it's important that we do put a disclaimer in the video that says this 3 minute can be overridden.
We can do, okay.
Um,
I'll make a note to that. I'll make a note of that and bring it up at
That's
the,
important, otherwise it doesn't look like we're telling.
I'll make a note of that. We'll talk about in the outreach meeting, and I'll come back in January with a proposal for us.
To the point that it may not
Understood.
come out and the vote that.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy who said, I've got high anxiety, and at least this got my anxiety from it's to 1, although people had to scramble because with just a few hours notice, I had a 2 minute and 20 minute a 2-minute and 20-second presentation that I did not get to show.
Yeah.
For sure.
That I'd worked on a long time to get it edited. You know, it's just very disrespectful when people are planning on this and at the whim of, you know.
I've been in your shoes and I
Yeah,
remember when
I
we
know
did
you had.
when they did cut it, then there was no fight back. So, I just wanted you guys to know that your work is appreciated, and we will continue to push forward, but don't let this be a deterrent. We do want all the work that you have done and that you're going to do.
Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to let you know that is what happened yesterday.
Thank you so much.
I gotta.
We look at your next meeting. Yeah, go, go, go.
I will see you next month.
Thank you so much. Man, all that work on a video.
If it's one disclaimer, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, and again, it's
Every video.
it's it's anything you ever roll out, there's always gonna have some sort of something that happens to it, and you just kind of roll with the punches and you make adjustments or you make disclaimers or you do these things. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast. But what it should never do is be the blocking reason for why you don't. You can always fix it. You can always tweak, you can do things. You know, it's just getting it to that point and then worrying about these little minutiae. Because again, it's in a vacuum. Now, granted, it was impactful and it did do a lot of things, but a month from now, maybe off the radar again. And so you just have to kind of we'll talk about it in committee and then come back to you guys with the suggestion on what make sense. And obviously equity, I'm sure we'll want to get the review of that as well and find out. Yeah.
This is just a callback in terms of, we did actually have a bullet point in our initial drafts of the recommendation that included a suggestion that council review that policy.
Okay.
And we decided to take it out because it
Oh,
moved
that's right.
to be too
That's right.
political at that point in time. So this is just, you know, I'm apparently serving as memory for us.
What policy?
This was the city ordinance that established the council. There is literally a bullet point in that ordinance that says the mayor has discretion to adjust public comment as desired. And we had at one point in time within the roster of recommendations, because I think it was like 3, where one was separate the meeting, devote it entirely to public comment, hold 2 of them. And then we had, I can't remember what the third one ended up being, but also in that was reviewing that specific ordinance. And we ended up kind of taking it out because it felt a little volatile at that point, as if we were trying to to focus on the mayor. And so I just want to put that out there in recognition of the work that we've done and the consideration that was put into it, so that we know that happened. It wasn't just something that we glossed over or what have you. And perhaps it means that we're going to take a moment to reevaluate it or what have you, but just in relationship to respecting our due diligence, I wanted to make sure that was out there.
And to that point, I also want to say, just for knowledge, that generally in any organized place where there is a leadership role, elected governing, the leader always has, there's a rule somewhere built in that doesn't say a lot, but it says enough for the leader to be able to control the situation and things get out of hand. So it's from Congress on down.
Yeah, it's in decades upon decades of, yeah. Yeah.
Either way, we did the good work. We'll continue to do
Yeah.
the good work. We'll continue to tell people that this is what they should have. If that changes, that's not up to us, but we've done what we're supposed to do. We've done it well. And I think the best thing is that this video will come at a time that, hopefully encourages them not to change the 3 minutes, because that's more and more people expect, because we do such a great job getting the information out there. We don't know. But I appreciate that we have that update. We're gonna skip a lot of stuff at this point because we are about 16 minutes left. But did you get, Ellen, were you able to get that email? I know.
Oh, I did, yes.
Okay, I just want to be sure we can get into the video we have as our new business. And then I would love to be able to go through the staff updates because we have so many of them. I will go ahead and say now, while the video is coming up, if you have anything to share with the roundtable, please just email it to me and I will send it out in this very collective email that we still get it. And then if we have any time at the end of this, we'll come back to Anthony's point of our meeting frequencies that we had, and we'll just have to push everything else a little bit further. Is the projector still?
It is not disconnected because my thing is.
Went to sleep. Took a power nap.
Sorry, I moved that thing. I didn't realize that was something.
Oh, it turned off.
Yeah, because it is disconnected.
We'll just take a second to warm up.
I apologize. I need the cell phone.
No projectors.
Is the must disconnect this?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Oh my goodness, if you weren't here at the last meeting, Donna recommended a video, it's an informational video that the city created that talks about or explains and walks through what the Citizen Advisory Council, not community, those organizations do. So yes, there it is. So we voted to have it on the agenda, and like I said, I want to make sure we got
it.
for today, since we did vote on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I thought we were gonna have it on the screen all the time, because normally, like in meetings, you have that, so you kind of see where you are, who's it's focusing on.
I mean, if you want to see you the whole time.
First time, we'll do it better next. Is that fine?
I think that's fine.
Okay. Is that his way? Turn on the light or?
Yes.
Oh, that's even better.
It's too comfortable. Yes. When we can see the government.
Citizen Advisory Councils serve as the link between the residents of Raleigh and city government. If you live in Raleigh, you're automatically a member of one of these councils. The city of Raleigh has 18 CACs, each representing a different geographic region of the city. Each CAC elects its own officers and decides its own activities and priorities. You can attend as an individual, or you can represent your neighborhood-based organization at your CAC meetings. All meetings are open to everyone. However, you can only vote at meetings of the CAC where you reside. CACs are nonpartisan. They're the only advisory boards to the city council not appointed by the council. Raleigh's CACs are a connecting point between municipal government and residents. They provide a way for the city to share information about government activities and to receive feedback from the community. Through CACs, residents and neighborhood groups participate in decisions directly affecting them. For instance, the CACs have a voice in planning and development issues. Most proposals for rezoning property go before a local CAC for review. Often a person seeking rezoning will appear before the CAC to discuss the proposal. Each CAC holds regular meetings and everyone is welcome to attend. The meetings provide a forum to share information about neighborhood improvement plans and other neighborhood issues. City council members sometimes attend CAC meetings to talk about items before the council. City staffers often appear at CAC meetings to give updates on projects or discuss how the city can assist with different services each department offers. Police representatives usually attend to discuss crime trends and offer crime prevention tips. All neighborhood-based organizations, such as neighborhood and homeowner associations, are encouraged to send representatives to CAC meetings and share information about the CAC proceedings with their members. It's important that every neighborhood have representation at CAC meetings because broader input leads to better decision-making.
And so much.
And I. Thank you.
Now it's a club. Oh, God. So now everybody sees what happens when you start talking in here. Creepy. Yeah, streaming it. Yep. I should have combed my beard today. If I knew that thing was gonna be this close to me, I really would have done some work.
For sharing that video. I'll also put a link to it in follow-up if anybody wants to rewatch or use it for anything else. I am so sorry that we're so off track today. I would love to try to get through some staff updates if we can, and then one last thing before we adjourn. So I don't know if Nadia or Ellen or.
Well, I that's one thing.
I'm sorry, Nadia, there was one thing I missed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't know that we have the time for it, but I wish we did. I think we are meeting too frequently, and I wanted to discuss with the board perhaps limiting our meetings to either odd or even months. That would give us one meeting in each district per year and then a wrap-up meeting, sort of a summit, if you will. The pace at which we're meeting, you notice there's different people in the room every time. There's less consistency. It's harder to have build up. If you have a committee meeting every month and a main meeting, you're looking at a 4 to 5 hour commitment plus drive time, which, a couple of these meetings, I know for me, it's been, 30-ish minutes each way. And I know for others that live, not far from me, it's the same. And that's probably true no matter where we meet for someone in the room. So I wanted to just see if we could entertain the idea of maybe, especially as our meetings are becoming more public, to give us more time to make these almost events versus sort of, oh gosh, we got a meeting, let's get into it, let's do it quick, let's run. To do less and make less more. And just kind of throw that out there. It's something I've really thought about because the last 2 outreach committee meetings we've been able to have, we're all ambitious, and I think it's great that we are, but it may be better if we tone down the ambition just a notch and look at how we perform. And maybe every even month we have meetings. So maybe our next meeting, if we would decide to do this, would be February. And it gives us a lot more time to plan and think and build and invite folks.
Yeah.
So we don't have just one person speaking. Maybe we have 10, 20 people that are interested and, want to speak. And, I think there's some benefits. So anyway, I want to throw that out there. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it and how we get this done and how we actually use our time as best as we possibly can.
I do think we probably have to revisit the committee meetings component. For us, it's just been a couple instances, a couple individuals it's challenging. In fact, we tried putting one close by, it still didn't quite work. So I do think maybe on the committee side, that's something I would consider revisiting too. My side suggestion to that would maybe be every 6 weeks, as opposed to, so you've got at least, because there is some stuff that has to get covered and a little bit more. We know we have a pretty ambitious plan for this year for some stuff, and we could still match that. So maybe every 6 in an interval feels a little more comfortable. I am with you. It has been something that's been kicking around my skull a little bit too, that we get to these so fast and all of a sudden, like, oh my God, we're here again.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, I'm gonna pause you really quick. We are going to run out of time.
Yeah.
And we have to get through the staff updates. And that's not to say I don't want to have this discussion. It is an opportunity to allow us 15 more minutes at the end of this, to extend this meeting by 15 minutes, to have some sort of discussion about this, but to be sure we get through the staff updates because they're very important. So if that's desirable, I'll entertain a motion to extend this to.
I can't, but you can obviously at discretion.
To 6:45 versus 6:30. Okay, then I apologize. I'll have to end that discussion. I just really want to get rid of
Fine. Yeah.
I hope we can come back to it because I have a lot to say and I think it's very important. So I'll let Nadia take us from here, hopefully till.
I'll try to make this quick.
No
pressure.
No pressure.
You probably saw, the list of bullet points or list of things we have to update you on. So alternative response survey, not sure if you all got my email, giving you a little bit of detail about what it is. So on November 7th, city council meeting, the city manager's office presented a roadmap to the alternative response program, to bring an alternative response program to the city of Raleigh. And our office has been tasked with the community engagement efforts. Getting feedback from community members on how this should look, what the name should be, all the details pertaining to it and how we should shape it. And so we have an engagement plan, including a survey. We have 5 pop-ups coming up. There will be more in the future. We have workshops planned, open houses, listening sessions as well. We just had one last night, pretty successful. We had like over 60 people register, only like 30 showed up, but
That's
still,
typical.
we're making movement. Basically, that survey that you have there is what it looks like. I think over 200 people have taken it so far. We just launched it last Tuesday. So it's gaining traction. We are advertising on our webpage, social media accounts, community organizations, you name it. But if you have ideas, let us know. We're always open to continuing to expand our outreach efforts. The next one is the engagement plan, for the DMV site, off of New Bern Avenue. So that's what our plan is. Basically, we have a goal of, sorry, this is extras. That's my son, actually. I haven't started. That's fine. I didn't keep it though. So the objectives on there, basically with our engagement, our goal is to obtain clear understanding of community vision for the site. We're really looking for feedback on how we should use the site, what it should be. And we really want to focus on the predominantly Black population, since that's a historically Black neighborhood and area. So that's our efforts on that part. Another one is Roll in Raleigh event for teens. So it's basically, it's in the name. ChatGPT helped us find the name, figure out the name, but it's just a fun event for teenagers to come learn how to navigate the Go Raleigh buses. They'll learn about the BRT project that's happening, the New Bern Wake BRT, and they'll be able to win some prizes like AirPods and things like that, and play games and learn about other services and opportunities, volunteer opportunities, job opportunities. So it's just like a huge event that we're collaborating with Parks and Rec and all these different organizations like the St. Monica Center, Teen Center. So we're really excited about that. And then we do plan to give an update during the city council retreat on like what we've been up to, all our engagement opportunities that we're offering and what we've been involved in, boards and commission, an update on the alternative response model engagement that we've been up to as well, and our community engagement cafe.
And was there a date for that? I can't remember if Jill sent it or not.
I think it's January 26th and 27th.
Okay.
Don't let me lie.
Don't put it on me.
Yes, I gotta open that and the whole, everybody knows it.
While you're looking at that, just a couple of quick questions. One, is there anything, any feedback that you're looking for from us on the alternative response program survey or the acquisition, or is this just kind of for us to be able to know what's?
Yeah, I'm just informing you all on like what the surveys has already been launched, so there's really no feedback unless you want to take it, which is encouraged, but also share it with your networks. We definitely want to push this out as much as possible and get as many residents to give us feedback on this. So that is one ask from us. For the DMV engagement plan, that is still a working document. So if you have any feedback or suggestions or even connections to a certain community leaders, innovative thinkers that can be part of all our efforts, let us know. Yeah.
Question, the Rolling Raleigh event for teens, I did not see that on the event calendar. Where
So we are going to have it, oh, that's a good question. In February during, oh no. Yes. During teacher work day, I have to, let me look that up real quick as well.
And then I'm sorry if I'm jumping around, for the workshop in January, will there be something that we need to put together from CEB as part of that presentation, or will just be OEC presenting on what collectively is going on?
Can you say that again?
For the January workshop or presentation to council, is there something that we specifically will be able to put together, or will it just be a presentation from OC about umbrella, what OC is doing?
Yeah, I mean, if you have any updates to share with them about what you all are up to, let us know. We do have a slide dedicated to that.
Okay.
So, yeah. Rolling Raleigh team meeting is February 19th from 1 to 4 p.m. We're still working on like flyer communications plans and stuff like that. And we're actually planning to meet next week to finalize all that stuff, but just wanted to let you guys know what we're up to. as well.
Have you published the name yet?
The name?
Yeah.
No. Is it bad?
Do a slang check before you do.
Oh, what?
A slang check.
A
Chat GPT is not really good on slang, but rolling is actually a slang.
Slang, yeah.
accuracy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So just so say, I mean, you know, I wouldn't, I'd just weigh that into the decision.
Mhm.
Okay.
And do we want?
Spelling it like ROLLIN.
Okay, I mean, I just rolling,
It's
yeah,
still acts.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, just so you're aware.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, chat GPT is good for some things, but other things.
Intellectual property, it is not. It is not that.
One last thing, I'm so sorry. The district project fund survey closes at the end of the year, so December 31st. That is the $1 million that are going to be distributed within the 5 districts, and they're asking the community how to use it. So that is on our website. So we're trying to get less, or push it out as much as we can. I think we've gotten a few, about 2,500 responses. We're trying to get to that 3 at least.
And thanks to everybody who responded to the engagement network opportunity we had last time. We had a presentation on the engagement network that the Office of Community Engagement is working on. And from what I understand, there was good feedback from in general, but also from the board. Okay, I think we're there. I'm so sorry we didn't get to talk more about the meetings. Anything else, whether it's community conversations or meeting frequency, I'll add to old business for our next meeting so we can get to that at the top of the meeting. I will send out, there's a list of things to send out. If there's any other information that you think we missed today and you have a link to it, let me know. If you do have something for the board roundtable, let me know, or email it to me rather, and I'll just try to send out all of the documents, including what was shared by committees, so that we have everything. I will also send it to Dale so it can be added to board docs officially, so you have 2 places to reference it. We'll go from there.
I need one.
We're at 6:30. Can we adjourn and then we discuss?
Well, I just want to make an announcement that I'm resigning today. Because of the actions the council took yesterday, I feel that we've put so much work into the whole process. And, you know, as you remember, it was council sent it back. We sent it months. And I feel, I just don't feel this is an effective use of my time when, you know, we are trying to do something very positive, and until we have different leadership, I think I can be more effective elsewhere.
Hate to end on that note. And I will officially entertain a motion to adjourn if we want to kind of continue and you want to share anything else with me personally, let's do.
That's it. It's time.
6:31, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for tonight. By Carmen, second. By Cheryl, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent work. Thank you guys so much.
Have a great holiday, y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.